Lynda, you've been speaking about angels and aliens, and maybe we'll get on a little bit later if we got time to your EVPs that I heard you had the other day.
Yes.
But aliens,
Yes.
aliens and angels. What's the difference? What's in a name?
That's right. What is in a name?
Yeah,
I always say I've seen aliens and I've also seen angels. How do I know one is an angel and one is an alien? It's only through research and finding other stories where people have said similar things,
right,
and that's what they've called it.
right,
But, even at the end of the day, how do we know that they're angels unless we go back to like biblical scriptures? And how do we know aliens unless we go over to some conspiracy group
yeah,
where they say, oh, they're called aliens,
right,
So basically what I call the difference, angels are from heaven. They are angelic heavenly bodies.
hmm,
So that's why I call them some bodies, because they're
right,
energy.
okay,
Whereas aliens are beings from other planets and galaxies, universes, etc.
right,
So that's my main difference between the two.
right.
Yeah.
And is it fair to say that that angels or aliens, if you like, if the aliens are actually angels, they come to us with the perception we understand of what an angel could be? Is that a fair comment, or do they have their bodily form, their structure, and that's it? Whatever we perceive them to be is irrelevant. They will come as their God-given structure.
I don't believe angels do,
Right,
but aliens do.
right,
Yeah, I believe that angels can take on any form.
right.
They can be the homeless man standing on the corner.
Yeah,
They can be a dog standing there waiting to see if you're going to give it a drink when it's a hot day. It can be a feather falling from the sky.
yeah,
That can be an angel coming down to give us hope and security.
right,
Whereas I believe aliens, they do have innate abilities. Like we have innate
yeah.
abilities. We have intuition. We have psychic abilities.
Hmm.
We have that connectiveness with our energies. If you go to science, it's called pheromones and endorphins. So these other alien bodies from other planets, they may have abilities that we're not aware of. So they may have the ability to shift their appearance
Right,
and come through as different looks, from being a dog to being a human.
right,
But, I can only go by what I've personally seen and what I've researched.
right,
And most aliens that I've seen and researched, they keep their own true form.
right.
Whereas angels can come in whatever form we need on that day.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. Yeah.
So, you've had experience of angels, haven't you? I think when we chatted last time, you was aware of one around you with the wings. Is that correct?
Yes.
A
Yeah.
bit.
Do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah,
Yeah,
please,
go there with that one?
please, yeah.
I I had a party here at my house. There was about 10 people here. And this pair turned up. And when they walked in, there was a third person. He looked like Robin Hood. He had a green tunic on with one of those green pointy hats.
Right,
And I said to them, who's this guy with you? And they said his name.
right,
So they actually had a book regarding these entities. I don't like saying the word. I call them Matt Damons, if you know
right.
what I'm
Yep,
talking about
yep,
there.
yep.
Right? Because I don't like saying their names in my house because
Right,
I don't want to attract them here.
sure.
So, yeah, they were happy to tell me his name. So I ended up kicking them out and they left. But this being stayed in my house. My bedroom is my sanctuary.
Yeah,
It's where I only go, and my daughter and the cat, obviously. But I went into my bedroom and this thing is sitting on my bed. So I've come out to the group of people outside of my house and I said, who wants to go down to my bedroom and see what you see? So two of the big guys out the back, big burly, oh yeah, we'll sort it out for you, They walked Like they were going to do anything with a Matt Damon in
Yeah.
my bedroom, you know. So they've gone down to my bedroom and they've come back out pretty pale. And one of them was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, Lynda. So I said, where are they sitting? Where's it sitting? So if you can imagine a bed that's square, and at the top you've got your pillows going down to your feet. This thing could have been sitting anywhere, this side, on the bottom, on that side, or up the pillows. But they both said they saw it in the exact same position where I'd seen it.
Right.
So that's evidence. That's evidence.
Yeah.
So we came inside, just here in front of where I am now, in front of my fireplace, and we called in the archangels, Michael and Raphael. So we asked, Heavenly Fathers, please send down, we need some big guns for this thing in my house. Sure. Straight away, the house started doing this like vortex, like a tornado that they have in America.
Yep.
And the man standing across from me, I actually couldn't see him anymore, even though he was only about 4 foot in front of me, because it was just swirling like a tornado here in my lounge. So there was this big, we could feel it was like an intergalactic or heavenly fight occurring here,
right,
where whoever came down was getting rid of this thing that was in my bedroom. So I'm looking at my friend across from me, and as this like tornado thing, and we're sitting there like in this vortex, whoa, like this, and as it sort of dissipates, my friend looks at me and he says, look behind you. So I've looked behind me and I saw the wing.
Right.
It was huge. Okay, it was huge. So this white wing, this person that would have had this wing, it was taller than me. And then I've looked to this side and I see the other wing, and they come around like this to around me, like they're protecting me.
Right.
So my friend's just sitting there like this, in absolute shock of whatever's behind me. And as I've turned around, this thing, if you can imagine like a little sparkle, like a little bright light, whoop, goes up through my roof, and he was gone. But then the biggest part was, on my floor were 2 feathers. Now, just bear with me for one moment. I'll just put my headsets back in. There you go, I can hear you again now, Mike.
Good.
I have so many feathers here, but these are the good ones that I like to use because they're nice and big. If you look at this feather here, you can see the quill. See this white part?
Yep.
If you can imagine, that white part there was about that thick.
Wow.
These little bits here come in. Now this is 3 feathers, as you can see, it's 3 feathers. So from the quill going down the middle, these bits here were about this wide.
I can imagine,
So from the tip to the bottom of the quill, it was 4 foot long. And, this one of these feathers here, it's only that thick. But you can imagine it was this thick.
Yeah.
And it was about pure white feather. There was 2 of them. They were here on my floor. So as we're looking at these 2 feathers, beautiful feathers, one of my mates here said, I'll get a photo. And so obviously, we're all looking at him to get his camera. And then as we look down, these 2 feathers dissolved into nothing.
Wow.
Just before he could get his camera out and take a photo of it.
Yeah.
People ask me, would I touch an angel's feather? No, they're just too angelic. I'm just a humbled mess of DNA here. I'm just a mess, Mike. But I would never touch angel's feathers. No. So, I actually didn't see who it was behind me, but I have asked that guy that was here, because he was like, because he was the one straight opposite me really looking at it. And I've actually asked him a few times over the past couple of years, hey, remember that night at my place? He says, no, not going to talk about it. And I respect, he still will not say what he saw that night.
Wow.
Some people just can't comprehend it,
No.
We get taught at school there's angels in heaven. We get taught that there's Matt Damon types. Yeah. We get taught that there's Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, all these other, like, ascended master types.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, though, when you actually see something and you start to think, oh my God, this goes against everything I've been brought up to believe. Yeah. It's a very big thing to try and comprehend.
Yeah.
So he had a very, very spiritual encounter that night with whatever he was looking at behind me, and he still doesn't tell me what it looked like. I've even asked him, "Can you draw it a picture?" No, I'm not talking. No.
Yeah. It didn't.
And this is.
It didn't change his faith then in any way.
Well, I'll go there. This guy that I'm talking about, he's a ghost hunter.
Oh, okay.
He actually goes, that's how I met him. We were on the same team going out doing paranormal investigations at houses and old cemeteries and asylums, institutions, hospitals and stuff. He'll talk forever and a day about a ghost. Oh, yeah, I saw this ghost the other night. You should have seen it. It looked like this. It was there. It was doing this, blah, blah, blah. He'll go into extreme depths about ghosts. But whatever he saw that night, he can't fathom it. So I respect his decision there, I respect that, we do get to see things in our lives that just go against every grain of our belief system, that he just couldn't fathom it. Yeah.
Right.
Weird. Yeah. I wish I got that photo. I really wish I got the photo.
Well, often you're not meant to have the photograph, are you? It's an experience for you to just experience. And then it boils down to faith. The evidence you have is here in your heart.
Yes, that's right, darling. People often ask me, because I've had a near-death experience, people say, oh, yeah, prove it.
Ah.
So, I can go and get the records from the Cabarrus County Hospital in North Carolina. I was there from the 6th of May 2001 for 9 days. I was in that hospital. I was in a coma for 9 days, but then I was in like another ward for about another 4 days before they sent me home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure, if I rang that hospital and said, hey, by the way, I want all my records, they'd still have it, even though it's from nearly 20 years ago. I like showing people my scars. I actually did a video on my page, Dr. Lynda Cramer Paranormal on Facebook. I did a video the other day where I just showed all my scars, and I'm happy to show people. Look, there's scars.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see the scars.
Yeah, clearly.
That's from all the needles that I had with the drips. I've got it on this wrist as well. I don't self-harm.
No.
But do you want to see the good scar?
Go on then.
I'll show you. I'll show you my good scar. This one's on my leg. Oh my God, is this going to work? Let me stand up and I'll show you my leg. Okay, hang on. I've got to just get it up there. It's here on my leg.
Look at that. Yep.
That on there, can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, my sock's on because it's cold here tonight. Hello, it's 20 degrees and it's freezing. So on my leg there, people say to me, what's that scar from, Lynda? And this is where we go into very deep conversations.
Right.
Because people are very intrigued with death and mortality and immortality. But when we actually start telling people what happens to us when we die, it sort of freaks people out and they get very scared.
Yeah.
So what happened is I had actually been flatlined for about 14 minutes, clinically dead at the house.
Wow. When
the paramedics came, they actually, I know, no brain damage that I'm aware of. They transport, when the ambulance, etc., turned up, I was floating in the room watching them all walking into the ensuite where my body was. And they had to do the defibrillation on me
Right.
twice to
Wow.
start my heart again. So, you look at the time that my ex came in and found me to the time when he rang the ambulance, it took them over 10 minutes. So they're saying there's 14 minutes that I was at least clinically dead for. Even because it was 2 o'clock in the morning. So he reckons that he heard a bang on the wall which woke him up. I never did that.
No.
I remember clearly I went to the toilet. I was busting to go to the toilet at 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember just sitting on the toilet and I went to sleep. I didn't bang on the wall because there was a wall here next to the toilet. But he reckons he heard a big bang, like someone banging on a wall. I don't remember doing that. I was not well enough to do that anyway.
No.
Because I was very, very sick that night. So I think angels woke him up.
Yeah.
They banged on the wall.
Yeah.
They banged to wake him up to come and get me. That's my belief here because I don't remember. Because I remember going to sleep and then the next thing I know I'm floating near the ceiling where I saw all the ambulance come in. So I reckon it was an angel that night that actually woke him up.
Most likely.
Yeah. So now I've just gone on a tangent. I forgot your question, mate. Sorry. So I have so many experiences, and I've got so many things that I really do want to share with people that I go off on these tangents and I think, what was your question again?
Well, quite often when we go off in the tangent, it's meant to go off in the tangent. But carry on.
I remember.
Yeah.
Okay. The scar on my leg.
Yeah. Okay.
People don't like discussing it. But when we physically die, like I've got first aid training to my name. I've been in hospital a lot through my life. I've got a lot of friends who are nurses, ER doctors, etc. And, they tell me stories about what happens when we die. I like going back to movies. So if you look at the movie The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage, there's a scene there where Nicolas Cage shoots some people and they're convulsing.
Right.
Okay? That's what we do when we die. We convulse. It's like, a convulsion that we do. So when I was in ICU and I had all these drips in me, these weren't the only ones, by the way. I had them all up my arm and I had a heart pump in too. So you can imagine what that was like. That's a automatic thing to start your heart if it passes out again. When I was flatlining whilst I was in a coma, they actually had to strap me to the bed because I had 15 needles in me at this point. Hence with all the scars that I've got. So that's why I've got this scar here on my ankle, because that's from the strap where they strapped me to the bed when I was convulsing. So as soon as I show people that scar on my leg and I explain how I got that scar, it adds to that evidence to substantiate really what did happen to me. I like showing my scars to people. I like giving them the proof that they need, because a lot of people do need the proof that there are things. They want the proof. I had a heart pump. I've still got the scar in here under my rib where you don't want to know what that thing does. It's called a heart pump, okay? No, that's what I call it. It actually goes in and it attaches to your heart. It's like a pacemaker.
Right.
But like temporarily they just stick it in under your rib. So if your heart stops, it just sends a shock to it instantly instead of installing a pacemaker. So I had one of those for the 9 days while I was in a coma as well. So I know that I'd passed away during the time that I was also in a coma because they had to strap me to the bed because I was convulsing. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
and I'm still here. I'm still here.
only the good die young. Remember that.
That's right. That's right.
So listen, let's just move on a little bit to your experience with an alien out in the field somewhere.
Yeah, okay. I've seen a few throughout my life. Since back in the 80s, I've seen UFOs in the sky doing massive illogical maneuvering in the sky.
Yeah.
You know, right angle maneuvers in the sky, which we just do not have that technology for, even back in the 80s. Even today, we still don't have that technology. So I was out at a deer sanctuary with about 30 other people.
Right.
We're in this circle with all our deck chairs. You know, everyone's got their eskies there. And all we were doing all night was just looking up at the sky.
Right.
Can you imagine doing that for 8 hours where you're just looking in the sky, that one's not moving, that one's not moving, you know, you're looking at stars here. Oh, that one's moving.
Right.
Oh, damn, no, that's just an optical illusion. So we're out doing this sky watch for aliens and UFOs. And down the field from where we were, it was all open because it was a deer sanctuary, so there's no trees, you know, in this field where we were. And down the bottom of this field, there was a toilet block. And in size comparison away, it would have been about this big.
Right.
It was about that big, off in the distance. A guy about 2 up from me, he yells out, "Oh my God, look at that!" And he's pointing. So as I look at him, and I'm watching his hand, so I follow his hand, down next to this toilet block, there's this being. Now, when I think about in my mind's eye, even now tonight, the toilet block, if there was a human standing next to it, you can make out the arms, the legs, the torso, the head.
Yeah.
But this thing was too oblong.
Right.
It was like someone had stretched him out.
Right.
He was taller than the, like if that was the toilet block,
Yeah.
he was taller. He was up to about here.
Right.
So he would have been 12, 14 feet tall. His arms were really long, and his legs were really long, but they were skinny. You know, you look at my wrist, I can put my fingers around my wrist, but his wrist would have been about that. You know, the bicep would have only been like that.
Right.
His thighs, now my thigh, you know, my thigh's about that round.
Yeah.
His thighs were like that.
Uh-huh.
Really like stretched out and long. So my leg, you know, I've never measured my leg, but just say my leg is, say, 3.5 feet. His legs would have been 5 to 6 feet long.
Right.
Because his, you know, the toilet block would have been at least 12 foot tall.
Right.
But he was even taller than that.
Right.
He was like 14 foot tall. And he's walking sort of like he doesn't know how to walk. He's doing this, like, trying to walk up on his, like, tiptoes.
Right.
Oh, and his feet were like this long. He had really big feet. I remember because as he was walking, I could see his feet coming up, like where we were all sitting. So as we all just look at him, everyone starts getting up and running down there, don't we? Yes. Yeah. Hello, let's go catch the alien. Ha, 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 ha. So we all run down to this toilet block. Now, I want to elaborate here. There was no trees around this toilet block.
Okay.
It was an open field. So as we all, like 30 of us, run down to this toilet block, if there was someone there, we would have seen this person run away.
Sure.
There was no one there. We all saw this thing, being, entity, whatever you want to call it, but there was nothing there. We were all searching it, you know, 30 people in a toilet block. You can imagine everyone's in there looking under the, you know, even lifting the toilet seats. Is he hiding in there? No, you know, nowhere. This thing just went invisible.
Wow.
Which I thoroughly believe that they can do that. Mm. They can go invisible. They can go from one dimension to the next, so they appear invisible. Yeah. So that's what I think this thing did. He's gone back into whatever frequency that he's from, right, which is a dimension. At the end of the day, if you listen to like Sheldon Cooper of The Big Bang Theory, frequencies and dimensions are very, very similar. Yeah. So, you know, I've studied science. Well, that's one reason why I got into science, understanding not just our human being and our eternal energetic levels, etc. But I'm now trying to fathom all these other things that I've seen so I can comprehend it and prove it to others.
Yeah.
You know? So I thoroughly believe that night he went back into his own dimension. So in our three-dimensional plane, he became invisible.
Yeah.
But he still may have been there.
Yeah, of course.
He's still there. Yeah, he's just sitting there watching us like, ha, can't see me now.
Can't see me now, yeah.
I'm hiding now.
Yeah.
All these people are running past him. Ha, I'm right here in front of you, you idiot. So it may be a big joke on the aliens that they can do this. You look at alien craft. They like hiding in the clouds.
Yeah.
There's a guy that I saw just the other day on YouTube, and he said, I was sitting inside and it was like something was outside my back door. So I've gone outside with my camera and I'm looking up in the sky, but I couldn't see anything. Right. So he's just taking these random photos of his clouds, went back inside and he's looking through his photo, the photos on his camera, and there's this thing in the cloud, perfect alien UFO sitting there. Because they do, what's the word that they use? They go like camouflage. They go like camouflage. Yeah. So I thoroughly believe that guy. I saw his photos and I'm like, have we got technology like this?
No.
If they do build technology like this, why would they be at this little country town, in this little country, it could be at your place, Mike? Seriously, what's your house in your city really? You don't have any like major military facilities around where they'd be testing these craft, etc. If I'd seen that over at like Area 51 in Nevada, the first thing I'd be saying is, oh yeah, that's man-made.
Yeah.
They're testing. But for this guy just sitting there, he was random, somewhere like, I don't know, Fiji. Let's go there, Fiji.
Yeah.
Why would they be testing this thing in a cloud near Fiji for? It doesn't make sense.
No.
So, so I thoroughly believe that guy did capture a UFO that day. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And you did you touch this UFO when you actually saw the one?
No, not on that experience. That was a totally different time.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. My friend rang me up and she said, Lynda, we're going for a sky watch tonight up at the Glasshouse Mountains, which is north of Brisbane. And I thought, oh yeah, I'm up for it. I'll go along for a drive. So we drove up to this lookout. Now, a lookout never has trees around because, you want to be able to look out at the scenic landscapes. So we're on the top of this mountain, and there was a car park at this lookout, and all that was there was a pergola with like 5 poles coming down with a roof, and in the middle was a little barbecue. So just after we arrived, it starts to pour down. So we're sitting under this little tin shed of a pergola, sitting on the barbecue so we didn't get wet, having this joke, we just spent 2 hours driving here and look at the weather, Then we noticed about 10 foot or so outside of this pergola, there was this circular part where there was no rain falling. Now, I have seen this in movies.
Yeah.
If you look at the second Thor movie, there's a scene there where, what's her name? Natalie Portman. She's standing and there's no rain falling around her.
Right.
So that's exactly what we saw this night. There's this part. Now, we were looking up and there was no top to this like cylinder where there was no rain coming in. So, me, stupid idiot, I'm pretty brave. I said, I'm going outside to touch it. So I walk out and I get close to it, and as I'm about 2 feet away from it, I could actually see something inside this like part where it's not raining, like this cylinder where it's not raining. And it's very reminiscent of that same alien that we saw out at the deer sanctuary.
Right.
Very tall, extenuating arms and legs, very oblong, like someone's had pulled them to stretch them out. The legs were really thin, like his thigh was only like this long with his wife. The torso, all these women in human form, they say, oh, I wish I had a 24-inch waist. This guy's waist was only like 8 inches round.
Right.
It can't possibly be human,
no,
considering the height of it. So I'm looking at this thing because, it's raining, and with glasses I'm sort of like doing this with my eyes as well. I put my hand out and go to touch it. Please don't ever do that. I'll tell you why. Next thing I know, I'm lying on my back under the pergola where we'd been sitting out of the rain. I woke up on my back, and the two girls that I was with are both looking over me. Lynda, wake up. And I'm like, what happened? They said, oh my God, you've been blacked out for like 5 minutes. I said, what happened? Now, this is their version of events. Are you ready?
Yep.
When I got to touch this alien, it was like a 10 times a defibrillator.
Yeah.
So when I touched this energy form, I got thrown about 10 feet through the air, and there was smoke coming out of me.
I shouldn't be laughing, but I can picture the scene.
Woo! Going backwards like this, and they run out, and I've got smoke coming out of me. So because I'd passed out, obviously, because it took a few minutes for me to come back, I still had smoke coming out of me. I could see it on my chest, the smoke. So I openly tell people, if you see an alien, do not touch it. Don't touch it, because they're on a higher frequency to us. They have a very high frequency, and our frequency is down here. It's like sticking a 12-volt line into a 240-volt extension lead. Kabang!
Yeah.
That's what happened to me that night, yeah. So I actually didn't see all of it because of the rain. It was pretty heavy rain. But I do know how I felt when I touched it. Don't ever do it. Don't do it. I'll never do it again.
No.
I'll never do it again.
You've had so many experiences which the normies would find very extraordinary. To you, it's kind of normal. To me, it's kind of normal. I don't have anywhere near like you do. But have you ever figured out, as your guides ever explained to you, why, and I use the phrase, why are you chosen for all these experiences? Or did you choose these experiences?
Well, did I? Because that's a very deep conversation we could go into.
Yeah.
I thoroughly believe that we have life lessons and we sign a life contract before we're born.
Yeah.
Did I sign up for this before I was born? I'm thinking I did.
Yeah.
Do I feel honoured, privileged? Yes, very. Yeah. It's a very humbling experience of this existence that I've had. I've been able to see ghosts and talk to spirits since I was a child. Very much like the book, that movie, The Sixth Sense. That little kid seeing those people with their injuries come into him.
Yeah.
That was me.
Right.
Many, many nights they'd come and, just the graphic injuries would scare the hell out of me. So I ended up telling the universe, I just looked up one night, I was probably about 8, and I just said, I can't handle this anymore. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
So, then you look at, I've had my near-death experience in 2001. My great-great-great-great-grandmother, Karina, she actually told me that I was going to work with the police for 10 years.
Right.
I did work for the police for 10 years. When I applied for the job, I actually thought I was going to the city morgue. Right. So, I honestly thought that's where I was going because of just all the questions and stuff that they asked. You must be able to deal with gruesome information, etc. You must be able to view crime scene stuff, murder scenes and stuff. And I just said, oh, yeah, this will be city morgue for sure. Police, for 10 years I was. So here I am, I'm back on my tangent again, Mike. So, yeah.
Carry on.
But it's just, did I sign up for this? I honestly believe I must have.
Yeah.
Because I'm certainly strong enough to face, especially the death of it.
Yeah.
They've given me this opportunity, because I do see it as a big opportunity, my near-death experience in 2001, to be able to speak about the most embarrassing, raw moment of your life, to die on the toilet, But I did. I died on the toilet.
Not a very royal way to go.
Well, it's good that we can laugh about it, because you've got to have a sense of humour with it. You really do. I can't stay serious about it all the time, unfortunately. No. But it's an honour what I do. Since my near-death experience, obviously it gave me that confirmation that they exist. They're watching me. They're talking to me all the time. I know they exist in my heart. Yep. So when I do talk to them, I know they're listening. Yep. There's no doubt within me at all, which is something now that I do like to instill in other people, trying to build that trust and that rapport between them and us. Yeah. So people do trust it, you know. So I'll go there, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's an absolute honour. Yeah. It really is that I've been bestowed this.
Yeah.
People ask me, why did it take me 54 years to actually come out and say what I've done? Because it took me 54 years to fathom what I did. Yeah. As a child back in the 80s, there was no psychic mediums. Yeah. The first person who I ever saw on TV was Sylvia Browne. She was on the Montel show. Yeah. And I was listening. I was sitting in the lounge room watching this Montel Williams show, interviewing Sylvia Browne, and everything that she was saying was also me. So I went straight to the library the next day, and I thought, my God, I've got to look up this Sylvia Browne. So I got out her book, I read her book, and everything rang true. So thank God, it wasn't just me going through this anymore, because, my family called me a nut job freak. Oh, don't listen to her. She's just, Lynda's like this, because they just didn't want to deal with it. So, of course, I had no mentor with it. I had no education on it. Even at school, I remember going to the library. They don't have books on ghosts and how to see spirits. No. They just want to teach you science, geography, maths, and English. So there was no, before the internet, there was nothing there at all that I could compare it to and learn from. To see what I actually had. So it wasn't until after I came back here in 2001 that I. Thankfully now the internet was able to be, you could have the old download, the old, that old internet where you're logging in. Yeah. And then you're just watching the bar as it uploads. Yeah. The page is loading. Yeah. So you type in what are ghosts, and you just got to sit there for 5 minutes, and then bing, it will come up. Yeah. So, it was very, very frustrating times, during the 70s, 80s, especially the 80s, 90s even, and then, obviously I came back to Australia after my near-death experience because they told me to. They said to me, this is my great-great-great-great-grandmother, Karina. I actually spoke to her for about 6 months. And she kept saying to me, Lynda, go home to Australia. Don't stay here. Yeah. Big things are happening in September. Leave by August. Yeah. Leave by August was what she kept saying to me. Right. So then we'd start talking about something else that she'd done in her life, back in the early 1800s. And then she'd say, and by the way, remember, you've got to leave before September. Well, look what happened in September 2001. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, because my ex-husband, he didn't want to do immigration, so I was still technically, I would have been technically an illegal immigrant over there at that point. So that, yeah, I would have been deported.
Right.
So I would never have worked with the police. I would never have done the first aid training that they wanted me to do. You know, so I stayed true on that path that they wanted me to have. Or was it the path that I actually created through my own life contract? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it'd be lovely if we could remember our life contract and say, oh, yeah, I've got to learn compassion. Okay, today I'm going to just make it my life mission. Today I'm going to be compassionate to everybody. You know, but it doesn't work like that, you know.
This is the mystery of life, actually. We've got to relearn this. So, yeah, well, I think you're doing a good job, actually, so far.
Trying.
But listen, very briefly, before we call it a day for today, your EVP experience, you know, fortunately, I mean, I had a spirit box, and it drove me nuts. It drove me absolutely nuts. This white noise coming through all the time, you know, this as it goes through all the frequencies. Got rid of it. I haven't got it here, but I've got a seance trumpet, which is fabulous. I use that. But I know you can just use a recorder, but I use my computer. I just press record and see what happens. You got some phenomena the other day with your group at your place. Tell us about that.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
I was doing a Zoom conversation. Now, I live in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, and her name is Karina. She lives down in Melbourne. So, if you get a flight from Brisbane to Melbourne, it's about a 3.5 hour flight. So that just gives you an idea.
Yeah.
So she's quite away. You know, she's quite away. So just like you and I now doing this Skype call, we were doing a Zoom conversation. I could see on my screen all these white things floating around me. And she's sitting there like you are now, saying, Lynda, I can see all these white things floating around you. Then she's hearing a dog bark.
Right.
I don't own a dog. No one else owns a dog in this like 6-house block of me. But I do have a ghost that is a dog in my house. People have seen this dog.
Right.
So she's about to send me the EVP of this dog barking. The EVP that I posted just the other day to my Facebook group, Dr. Lynda Cramer Paranormal, that one is Terry. Terry's a ghost. He came here about 3 years ago. He's very laid back, Terry. He was a fisherman.
Right.
And he used to smoke drum cigarettes. So he ultimately died of emphysema from his drum cigarettes. So he's a laid-back guy. You know, he'll sit in my chairs and go, oh, yeah, Lynda, I want to tell you this joke. You know, he's a jokester.
Yeah.
He really is. So as I'm talking to Karina, like I wasn't aware of it because I didn't hear it. But I'm saying this one part, and he says, yeah, clear as day, yeah. So that's one of the EVPs that we caught from the conversation that Karina and I had. But she sent me a text just the other day, and I'll read it out because this is just phenomenal.
Right.
Just bear with me. I'll just go into my texts. Where is she? Sorry, I'm just looking for it.
No, you're fine there.
Oh yeah, here she goes. Lynda, there is background chatter throughout almost the entire conversation. We spoke for 4 hours. 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock we talked. She said, I can't believe how much of it is there. I was home alone. But the thing that makes me think it's not the TV is in the little gaps between our words. See how I just paused?
Yeah.
And I just paused?
Yeah.
So you've really got to listen between the pauses.
Yeah.
Because that's when they say things. Okay? I saw so much on our video too, and I don't make the video public, only the audio. but the flashes and the things that I saw were unbelievable. So, yeah, she sent me 3 EVPs now. She's going to send me the dog, and she's also going to send me the video file, which obviously I'm going to share straight away because I've told her I'm going to share it. You know, people get me talking and there's EVPs, I share the hell out of it. So then people, it gets that interest up.
Sure.
You know, so obviously if I get it, I'm going to let you know too, so then you can post it to your things as well. You know, because as you know, last week I posted this video and I said to people, go and like your page. So hopefully people have, because I like giving, you know. So, yeah, interesting.
Do you think you're a conduit for this?
Funny, because I've looked at poltergeists.
Yeah.
I haven't physically looked at poltergeists, but I've researched it for years because I've been a ghost investigator for years, you know, going out to haunted houses and stuff. And I know that we do have innate abilities, which some call psychic abilities. You know, there's thousands of these innate abilities that we can possess. You know, I know telekinesis is real.
Yeah.
We do have the capacity within our innate being to move things with our mind.
Sure.
Just like in the movie Ghost, where Patrick Swayze is learning to kick that can on the platform of the train. Because we can use our energy to manifest things to move. So that would suggest that when you've got somebody who may not be aware of their frequency within their energy levels, they can be creating this paranormal phenomena, which some would call poltergeist, okay? It could also be another entity that is attached to that person.
Yeah.
So, you know, it may be in that instance. But yes, to answer your question, we can manifest this stuff ourselves. So it is a hard call. You know, like I've been out to houses where someone will say, oh, it's only her getting scratched. It's only her getting bitten. It's only her that things are getting thrown at. So in that instance, you don't just look at what could be energetically within the house. You've also got to attach to that person and see if they're creating this themselves as well.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, just on a side note, on a side note about this, whenever you buy, let's say, furniture from a second-hand shop, be it a book, you know, from a charity shop or something, do you always cleanse it because the energy?
Absolutely. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything I buy, I cleanse, even if it's new, because someone made it, it's been in a factory, it's been shipped, it goes to that store. I cleanse virtually everything, you know. I always send it love, fill it with my own energy, and I do a clear out. Even groceries, you know. Coming home with the groceries, I'll have them in the car. So I do a clear out in the car even before I get into my driveway with new groceries. Because food is energy. Yeah. You know, we put it into our body, it's energy. Yeah. So, you know, and it's all natural. It all grew on our lands, you know. Even the processed food, you know, most of that's healthy stuff, like natural stuff. So, yes, I cleanse everything that comes into my house, you know. And, you know, people come here. Like I had a lady come here just the other day. She walked into my house and she's looking around like this. And I said, what's the matter, honey? And she said, I can't believe the energy change in your house. It's so nice. So she said, I'm just going to go out to my car. So she went out to her car and came back into my house. And I said, what are you sensing? And she said, my God, it's just so peaceful here. I said, of course it's peaceful because that's all I generate. I will not allow negativity within my house. So if someone does come with negativity, as soon as they go, I send that stuff packing with them. I send it out.
Out it goes.
You know? So I protect myself all the time. I protect the house. I protect the yard. I do salting. I do cleansing. I use sage sticks. That's what this feather is, by the way. This is for sage.
Right.
So you light up your sage, and then you use this to dissipate the smoke throughout the house.
Yeah.
So that's a sage feather. Yeah, so that's what that goes for. So when I light the sage, so I don't burn the house down or start off all the smoke alarms.
Super. So listen, we're running out of time. What's the week like ahead for you now? What interesting stuff? I say that loosely because everything's interesting, but what's the agenda this week for you?
I will tell you, I've got a couple of ladies coming here this week for readings.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
When people come here, I always spend about half an hour cleansing out the house.
Yeah.
I do a little prayer. I use my singing bowl here behind me, if you can see it. Get the energy happening within the house. So I've got those coming this week. This weekend, I want to get out to the Goodness Cemetery and do a live feed out there. It's it's sort of like a New Orleans or New Orleans,
right,
or Nolans. It depends on your accent in America. When you say New Orleans, New Orleans, or Nolans.
Yeah.
New Orleans. So it's very much like one of those cemeteries out there where, I saw a lady there. She walked, she was on the path in front of me. She looked just like a human.
Right.
That's how I see them. I thought it was a lady just in front of me. So I looked at her and I smiled, and she walked behind a tree, but she didn't come out the other side.
Right.
The tree's only this wide, but as she walked behind the tree, and I just thought, what?
Right.
Oh my God, I saw a ghost and I didn't even get it on camera.
Right.
So I want to go back out to the Goodness Cemetery. My daughter, my 14-year-old, she wants to go to the zoo on Sunday.
Right.
I love cuddling the animals, because animals, they do not hold animosity or negativity with them. So I always say to people, if you do want to cleanse your soul, go and hug an animal.
Yeah.
So I love the emus out there. I give them hugs and I kiss them and I do selfies with the emus. I could show you photos of my emus. People think I'm crazy because I I'll grab the emu and actually kiss him on the head. Look, you want to see? Because I do it. So that's till Sunday. Next week, I now do live videos every day.
Right.
Educational videos. Why do we sage? Why are Ouija boards bad for us? And that sort of stuff. So, my days are just getting full on busy now with just getting the word out. Oh, look, here's me kissing the emu. There you go. That's me kissing the emu.
Oh, look at that.
I don't know if you can see you. I'll just change it a little bit. So there's me kissing an emu. People think I'm bloody nuts. Actually, I like this one because I've got the sun behind me. It looks like I've got a little halo happening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's me kissing the emu on the head, giving him a big cuddle. I love, oh, here we go. Here's me with some kangaroos. Because people say, oh, you got kangaroos in Australia. So there's me with some kangaroos.
There you go.
So you can go and, they've got about 200 kangaroos on about 2 acres of land. So you can go in and feed them of a morning.
Right.
So, look, you can just sit there and just cuddle a kangaroo.
Look at him, look.
So, he's getting the food. So I want to do that someday. Take Tashi over to the zoo and just cuddle the animals there. Yeah. I love it. I worked with Steve Irwin for a few years,
really?
So I'm a herpetologist in another world. Yeah. Reptiles, snakes, and arachnids.
Right.
I studied them for about 8 months while I was working. I was a volunteer at his zoo. People say to me, "What's the biggest spider I've had on me?" Probably about that round was the biggest spider. The biggest snake I've held was a 38-foot python. He was about that round. Big python up at Steve Irwin Zoo. He used to have a turtle called Harriet, big tortoise. She was actually over 150 years old or something. She ended up dying.
Right.
Unfortunately. But, I've got photos of her. I'm sitting on her back trying to ride her like a little horse. Giddy up, run faster, Harriet. I love my animals, darling, because they cleanse us. They keep our spirit whole.
Yeah.
It's a really good way of connecting. When you go out and hug a tree, You know, people think I'm nuts when I go into the city, and I'll just go into the park in the city and I hug a tree. You know, you put your arms around the
trunk.
The trunk, thank you. You know, you just hug a tree, and people think, "Whoa, she's nuts," but it's not. It's a way to connect with nature. You know, it brings us back to, you know, it grounds us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So So next week I've got another big full week too. But you know, obviously I'll make time for you if you want to have another chat.
Yeah.
Yay! You know.